All of this was incomprehensible to him from the very beginning. 11 years ago, Jason finished his university studies and returned to his hometown. Since he studied at his own expense, he had no distribution. He got a free employment right and managed to find a decent high-paying job. In the course of building a successful career, he often had to travel to the regional center, where he once met his fellow student, Earl. They were not close friends, but nevertheless, always had good conversations. And then, Earl helped Jason, and the approvals, which took weeks, were obtained in one day. Earl was already the CEO of the firm founded by his wife, Sir's, parents. It was at a friendly party at Earl's house that he met his future wife, Leia. Leia was finishing her university studies and living with her retired parents in the center of the city. Somehow, it happened that they started dating. It was a heated encounter, and after 6 months, realizing that Lila was pregnant, he proposed to her. She said yes on the condition that he would move to live in the regional center. Jason agreed, and they had a wedding, which was attended by Earl and his wife, Zora. Lee's parents made them a royal gift, gave them a 3-room apartment, left to them as an inheritance from her mother-in-law's sister. The gift was registered to Lila. A son was born, and soon Lila became pregnant again and gave birth to a daughter. Jason got a job on the advice of Gerald in a very solid organization. There, he quickly established himself as a knowledgeable specialist. It is clear that as a result, the company headed by Earl had priority in the selection of contractors for the construction of facilities, especially when Jason represented the customer. Work was boiling, earnings were excellent. Leia, after her daughter started kindergarten, also got a job at Earl's company. 10 years flew by, and now the son will go to the 4th grade this year, the daughter will go to the 2nd. 2 weeks ago, Jason sat in a conference room at the hotel. The negotiations were tough, and they were dragging on, so they called a break. Jason went out with one of the representatives who came from the Capitol to the balcony of the conference room and sat at a table there. The representative, looking at the hotel visitors in the lobby, remarked, "Here, so many years have passed, and Earl is still in love with her and married, but the old habit does not die. Earl, who's over there at the reception desk checking out a room, and his girlfriend is standing by the kiosk." Jason looked and saw that Earl was at the front desk, and his wife, Lila, was at the kiosk. Earl finished checking out, and he and Lila walked to the elevator. My first impulse was to find them and punch Earl in the face. Only what would that accomplish? A breakdown in negotiations? A public brawl? A divorce? And then there was the sound in his ears. It had been years. Jason turned to the person he was talking to. "How long have you known him?" "A long time. I'm a native of this town, lived here, and Earl, after college, met his current wife, Zara. I think she's from a wealthy family. Her father was an entrepreneur, founded several businesses with his wife. Earl married Zara and immediately became CEO of one company. But I don't do business with him, he's unreliable. You can't trust him." The negotiations were finalized, the contract was signed. Jason returned to the office, went to his office, and began to think about what he should do next. It is clear that he has to part with his wife, but the children, he has to make sure he's their father. He has to prepare a place to live after the divorce. The apartment they live in was given to them by Lila's parents, with a deed of gift to his wife. So the best thing to do is to go back home. The parents have a house, God willing, with 2 floors, they only use the first floor. Leia has never been to his homeland, saying, "What will I do there?" The departure itself decided to organize, simply packed up and left, especially since he promised his children this year to take them to the sea, and he didn't want to deceive them. So having outlined a plan, he began to realize it. He knew a lot about Earl and his wife's habits. He knew that Zara, at lunchtime, went to a cafe located away from the offices, believed that there was better cooking, and repeatedly invited him and Leia to dine there. Now it is clear why Leia did not visit this cafe, and Earl did not go there either. The next day, Jason entered the cafe and immediately saw Zora and sat down at her table. "Hi, Jason. Hi, you're trying the local cuisine? You know, you won't regret it. No, I didn't just decide to try the local food. Oh, I see. Earl, yes, Earl, and with who? My wife, Leia. Are you sure? More than sure. You know, I've suspected him for a long time, but I couldn't prove it. He's always home on time. Where did you catch them? At a hotel downtown. He has a buddy who works there as a director. How long have they been dating? As I found out, they started dating before I met Leia. He married you for your parents' money. What? And when we met, he said he didn't know who my parents were, and he introduced Leia to me as a friend of yours, my friend. I met her at your house. What about the kids? I took a DNA test just in case. How'd it turn out? Well, it's not immediate, but they said they'd get it done sooner. If it's about Earl, you shouldn't have. He's infertile. He's been treated, but he's had 0 results. That's why I haven't had a baby yet. I'd like to have kids. Okay, what are your plans? What's my plan? Divorce and my maiden name. I'll divorce him too, but he'll have to pay for humiliating me and making me a laughingstock. But I need hard evidence, not words. Do you think if I go away on a business trip, you'll also go somewhere where they'll meet? Probably at my cottage, that's what I was thinking. What if we put up webcams and watch them meet in real time? Then, at the time of the meeting, you could drop in on them with, say, your parents, could you? I have it more complicated than that. I want to pick up my kids and take them away. Where to? To the sea, for starters, say, in Turkey or somewhere in Spain, Italy. Listen, I have a friend who works in a travel agency. I'll ask her to find something. It's a deal. When can I call you? Anytime, but I'm also thinking that I have to go home. Since he owns the apartment, I won't live there. Will she kick you out? I don't know, but I'll take the kids, take a vacation with them, and go to my town. It's not far. I'll decide about the job after the vacation, as long as I have a place to live. Listen, my dad's planning to open a branch there in the fall. I'll talk to him. If you don't mind, I'd be glad to have any help I can get. Now set a date. I'll call you, but remember, you have to install the webcams discreetly. Don't worry, I have experts for that. Jason spent all those days preparing for his upcoming separation from his wife. He stopped by the school and told them that they were planning to move and were therefore transferring the children to another school in another city. They demanded confirmation of the children's enrollment in another school. He had to go to his district center during working hours and bring the confirmation. The documents were handed over. Zara called and said that there was a trip to Italy, the city of Pizarro. She asked me to bring passports to open visas. The visas were opened quickly. Soon Zara told me that she had talked to her father about Jason and his appointment at the branch. He did a background check and gave his approval and asked her to come in for an interview. After the conversation with Zora's father, where arrangements were made for his position and salary, Jason came to his director and told him what had happened. The man, who had been divorced twice before, asked, "What can I do to help? I need to take a quiet vacation and get fired. Look, is there any way we can work this out?" "No, it won't. Besides, I've been offered a job. I've got a lot of work lined up. I think I'll involve your company in their fulfillment." The general director, after some deliberation, gave his consent. The preparations for parting were finalized. Jason told Leia about the upcoming business trip only for 3 or 4 days. Leia, on the same day, informed about the departure of her husband, Earl. He rejoiced, he said, "At last, we will have a human rest. My wife went to a sanatorium for 2 weeks. Your husband's going away for a while, but it's no big deal. Where will you take the kids?" "I'll take them to my parents. It's vacation time. They can't stay at home." "I don't understand. Why? I had a bee. Is it just up to me?" Besides, it was your idea to marry me to Jason. And maybe your son could be yours. And your daughter too. No, I can't have children. And I'm glad of it. Children are a responsibility, and I'm a little different in that respect, so you should get a nanny or like me. I put everything on my husband, and he takes care of them. And when my husband can't take care of them, I give them to my parents. Too bad vodka parents live far away. Okay, what are we planning for tomorrow? What's tomorrow? VKA is leaving in the morning. After work, we'll go to my place, and I'll go home to my place. What are you going to do there? Take your nightie in your bag. In the morning, you won't need it. No one comes to our house. Take your lipstick. I always have my makeup bag with me. That's great. We're not going to the hotel tonight. I'm afraid I'll be seen there. Yeah, it's too risky in the center of town. We could get burned. The next day in the morning, Jason packed his traveling bag and said goodbye to Leia and went to the train station. Although, in fact, he just got on the shuttle bus, drove one stop, and got off. The car he had hired for long-distance transportation with movers was waiting for him there. They drove up to the yard of his house and saw. Take the children out and get into the cab with them. She was taking them to her parents' house. There was no conversation about it, though. Half an hour later, Leia arrived at her mother's house, saying, "Mom, I brought you grandchildren. They miss you. When will you take them to the sea? Mary, you look so pale. Martin needs a tan. To let them sunbathe in your garden. I'll call you every night." Leia got into the cab waiting for her and went to work. At the same time, Jason was packing up the house, putting it into the cardboard boxes she had brought. The boxes were immediately carried into the car. Within an hour and a half, everything was packed and loaded. Only a large wheeled suitcase and 2 bags were packed separately. When Jason finished packing the car and immediately called his father, "Dad, the car with the stuff went to your place. The movers will be there. Don't carry anything yourself. I'll come to you and the kids in a month, at the end of August." Yes, with movers and transportation all paid for. They have your phone number. Leia will call. Ask how and what. You know nothing. All right, son. I'll meet the car and Leia. She won't call. She never does. I told you 10 years ago that she was promiscuous, and you didn't believe me. That's right, Dad. Today is the 10th anniversary of our wedding. I remember that. So I got her a present. Leia came to work, went to the CEO's office when he was alone, said, "Jason's gone. The kids are at my grandparents', so I'm free until Monday." Excellent. We'll leave an hour early. Okay. After working most of the day, an hour before she finished, Leia signed out in the leave book that she was going to a meeting with a customer. She left the office and turned down an alley. After another 3 minutes, Earl came out of the office, not reporting to anyone. He told the secretary, "I'm going to a meeting. I won't be in today." He came out, got into his car, and drove off. Zara, who had installed the beacon and microphone in the car, became aware of the fact that the car had started to move around the city. She saw the car turn into an alley and stop. The door closed, and immediately there was a sound. Leia asked, "Don't we need to go to the store?" "No, we don't. We have everything at home." About that time, Jason stopped by the mother-in-law and father-in-law's house and said, "Good evening. I'm going to get the kids." Leia said, "They'll be here for 3 or 4 days, so today's a celebration. We have 10 years of life together. The kids and I have a surprise for you, so if she calls, don't say anything. She'll be home in half an hour." That's right, it's been 10 years. We forgot. 10 minutes later, Jason and the kids were on their way to the airport. The flight was 2 hours away. Leia walked into Earl's kitchen, looked in the refrigerator, and leisurely set a solid table. She asked Earl, "Open the champagne." Semi-dry, but no shooting. Maybe some cognac? No, cognac will be too strong at the beginning of the evening. Come on, we'll drink it later. What are we drinking to? Listen, you and I haven't seen each other since our daughter was born. We missed a lot of time. Whose fault is that? You're the one who had an affair with the client's lawyer, Leia. What kind of affair? We had a little talk with her. You were at home with your daughter. Besides, your husband could have dropped by, and you didn't have a problem with the lawyer. I broke up with her. Or did she break up with you? Her husband caught her at work with her lover. So what? Well, the husband went to jail. He beat up the lover so badly that he was nearly resuscitated. So she didn't have you alone. Well, you didn't have me alone either. Who else do you think I have? Your husband? They sat down to dinner. Leia collected the dishes and put them in the sink. Then they went upstairs to the bedroom. The time was about 7 p.m. Leia covered the coffee table with fruit, on which she put the cone brought from the kitchen, cognac glasses, and went into the shower. She came out of there about 10 minutes later, wrapped in a large terry cloth towel. Earl looked rapturously at her beautiful figure and went into the shower as well. When he came out, Leia asked, "I'll talk to my parents now, and I'll be all yours. In the meantime, be quiet." She dialed her mom's number, who answered not immediately. "Hello, daughter. Jason surprised you, Mom." "What kind of surprise?" "Well, you have 10 years of marriage today. He took the kids and went to surprise you with them." "What time was it?" "About 5 o'clock. "I see. I'll call you back." Leia jumped up, pushed Earl away, and dialed her husband's number, speaking, "It's me. How's the business trip going?" "It's fine. I congratulate you on our 10th wedding anniversary." "Did Mom remind you?" "Why did you say that?" "Because you're standing in Earl's bedroom, not quite dressed, and he's looking at you like that, waiting for you to finish talking to me. That's like a loyal dog looking at you, Jason." "What are you talking about?" "I'm just saying what I have. You never loved me. Earl told you to get in my bed, so you did. He told you to get married, you got married, Jason. I'll come over, and we'll talk. I believe you'll understand me. Don't go away. Don't leave me." Leia burst into tears, and Earl looked at her questioningly, not sure what was going on. The bedroom door opened, and Zora's parents walked in. Walking behind them was Zora. Leia was surprised and frantically grabbed her clothes and began to dress. Zora's father, Samuel, looking at his son-in-law and more at the naked Leia, asked Earl, "What's going on here, Dad?" "Nothing is going on, Earl is just having a good time." Zora's mother appreciated her son-in-law's nakedness and remarked, "Zora, what do you see in him?" "There's nothing to see here, Mom. That's why I'm throwing him out of my life." And turning to her husband, she added, "Earl, do you understand? You have until morning to vacate my house. I think Daddy will tell you about the job and say what, dear son-in-law, you write a statement and we'll part ways. Leia, you stay for now, but with a demotion. And for that, thank your husband. But be warned, if you slip up again, you will be fired." Leia, who had finished dressing, said very quietly, "Thank you," and clarified, "Can I go now?" "Yes, of course. No one's keeping you here. Goodbye." Leia jumped out of the cottage and ran to the bus stop. She got into a cab and was home in about 30 minutes. She went up to her apartment, opened the door, entered the apartment, and realized that no one was home. She started to call her husband, but the phone was out of range. Jason had almost finished watching what was happening in the bedroom. Turning off the tablet, he called Zora back. "Zora, thank you so much, but I can't talk long. We're on our way to the landing with the kids. I hope to hear from you when we get back." "You don't have to thank me." "Thank you, and my father is waiting for your arrival." We got on the plane, and a few hours later, we were in another city. The flights were perfectly timed, and soon they were on a big airplane headed for Italy. The flight was a night flight, with mostly everyone in the cabin asleep. But soon it started to get light. The passengers were offered breakfast and drinks. We landed at Rimini Airport. After a short wandering, we figured out how to get to Pesaro. It turned out to be close, only 37 kilometers. Here they were found by a representative of the company that carried out transportation of tourists from the airport to the hotel. In a small minus were already sitting other tourists who were also going to Pesaro. Another hour of driving, and they were finally accommodated in the hotel. The hotel is located on the first coastline. As soon as they checked in, the kids wanted to go to the sea, which was visible from the window. They went downstairs, and there they met another woman who had come on the same flight with them, with her daughter of 7 years old. The woman got seasick on the plane, but the little girl demanded the sea. Jason suggested, "Trust your daughter to us. I'll take all the kids to the sea, and you rest." "Thank you very much, but I won't leave for long." "Then let's go together." "Let's go together." "But I don't see where to go. I can see the sea out the window, but I don't know where to go." "We'll find it. By the way, my name is Jason, and these are my children, Martin and Mary." "And who are you?" "I'm Regina, and this is my daughter Rose." It didn't take long to figure it out. We found the passage and followed the wooden ladders almost to the water. There, in the shallow water, were a flock of small fish. Jason managed to catch a small crab. The crab, sensing danger, immediately burrowed into the sand and used the rising sea to hide from pursuit. Jason took off his shorts and shirt and went swimming with the kids, taking Regina's daughter with him. He called Regina herself. She thought about it, then took off her sundress and also went into the warm water of the Adriatic Sea. Meanwhile, Earl was solving the problem of where to live. In the end, with the help of his parents, he found himself a lodger in a one-room apartment. Trying to get a job did not lead to anything. He had some money and he could hold out, but he had to think about tomorrow. So, he started looking for a job, going around offices. But, strangely enough, no one wanted to cooperate with him. All the vacancies of executive positions were filled by their own specialists, and he himself did not want to go to a rank-and-file position as a result. Soon, he could not get a job as an ordinary engineer either. Leia ran around the city for 2 days, but was unable to find Jason and the children. Contrary to Jason's father's belief, she did call them, and the parents explained that yes, Jason had moved his belongings in with them and had gone somewhere else. He hadn't brought the kids. After thinking about it, Leia decided that he had gone on vacation. Just in case, she stopped by Jason's office on her first day of work there. She learned that he had quit. In the evening, after work, she called Earl and asked him, "What's up? How's it going in there?" "Not good." "Why? So bad?" "I rented a one-bedroom. Only a cot, but there's one table and one chair. The stove has one burner. No utensils. I had to buy some, but I don't even know how to cook. And there's a problem with jobs. I've called around and found out nobody wants me. What about you?" "I'm still working, but I've been transferred to another department. I don't have to go anywhere during working hours, and it's mostly minor paperwork." "Who's in my place?" "The duties are performed by the chief engineer. In addition, they announced the establishment of a branch office in a month." "Yeah, my father-in-law said something like that a month ago." "What did Jason tell you?" "Nothing. He took the kids and left. Where to, I don't know, but he took his stuff and the kids' stuff to his parents' house. My parents found out about the divorce too. My dad won't talk to me." "So, you live alone?" "Yeah, I'm living alone for now. I think maybe we should get back together." "I don't think that's a good idea. That would have been attractive to me 10 years ago. Even though you were my first lover, Jason was the best. Besides, you're cheating on your wife. Then why did you go out with me?" "I was stupid. I didn't realize. I should have left you right after you betrayed me for your career, or after you betrayed me again when you forced me to marry Vka. But I lived with him and realized he's the real deal. So, I'm sorry. I'm not going to live with you, and I'm not inviting you to visit. We should have broken up a long time ago. I was stupid not to realize that. So, what now? I'm going to get my husband and kids back. How? I don't know yet, but without them, my life is empty. I don't think you can do that. If it was just a one-time thing, we've been going out intermittently for 10 years. Well, not 10 years. When I had my baby, we took a long break, and then I had another baby, and then we took a break again. In the purest form, maybe 3 years of dating. For someone like Jason, once is enough. What do you think you're going to do? Make up with your wife? No, I'm not even going to try. Why not? My health is more important to me. And I was wondering if Jason and Sarah are dating. What makes you think that? Because they're so in sync. I wouldn't be surprised if your hubby and your kids are living in a cottage with Zora. I hadn't thought of that. I doubt it, but I'd have to check. Jason and the kids were having a great time, and Regina and her daughter Rose joined them. She was slowly recovering from the flight, but she said it wasn't the flight that did it to me at all. I ate something at the airport while waiting for the plane. But I feel fine now. How's Rose? She didn't throw up? No, she got through the trip very well. That's good. We'll have breakfast in the morning and then go to the beach. As soon as the sun starts to shine, we'll go to the hotel. We'll have lunch. Then, when the sun calms down, we go to the beach again. In the evening, we go for a walk along the promenade. Are you okay with that? A vacation schedule like that? No, our schedule will vary, but it will depend on the children. Yes, our hotel has a freshwater pool in the courtyard. And that's where it gets tricky. From the sea came in the salt water. Bathed in the pool. Swim with fresh water and do not need to shower. Okay, let's try it. But I'd like to see the city too. Do you have to stay in your room after dinner? They call it siesta. It lasts from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., sometimes till 4 p.m. During this time, stores, pharmacies, offices, organizations, banks are closed. It is true that bars, restaurants, cafes, supermarkets are open. Lightly dressed, you can go for a walk. And I suggest we go for a walk on the embankment in the evening. It's a deal. That day, Lila got up the courage and in the evening came to the cottage where Zora lives. Zara opened the door, and when she saw Lila, she silently stepped aside to let her into the cottage. They went into a large hall on the first floor. Zora pointed to a soft couch, and sitting down opposite her, she said, "I'm listening. I have come to apologize for what happened, and I ask you to understand me. Don't think that I'm so stupid. Ask better, why do you still work for us?" "Why?" "Because I understand you dated Earl before me, so I'm the one who took him away from you. But I really didn't know anything about your relationship. So, he deceived you too. I fell for it like a fool. And even though I've known him for a long time, we didn't really see each other very often. And he kept saying he was going to divorce you. I believed him. But then I realized he wouldn't accept my kids. Although today, I don't know who they're with. Don't worry, your children are your husband's. Earl really can't have kids, and he doesn't need them. By the way, he's single now. What's stopping you two from getting together?" "No, I realized I don't need him as a man or a husband. He called me when he heard I was alone. He asked me to take him in, but I refused. I also came because I can't find Jason and the kids. He's not at his parents' house, although he moved his things there. I know he went on vacation with the kids to the sea. I don't know when he'll be back. September 1st, I think. The kids have school. I don't know what to do. How to get Jason back? I can't help you with that. I don't think there's any way to get Jason back today. Jason and the kids, with Regina and her daughter Rose, left the hotel. They walked to the center of Pizarro. The children, after a short briefing by Jason, learned the direction of travel and walked ahead. Regina asked, "Jason, was such a detailed briefing necessary?" "Of course, Regina. You understand, in the city where we lived, they know about the existence of bicycle lanes, but they don't really exist. So, we're just not used to the fact that a pedestrian zone is one thing, a bicycle zone is another, and then, of course, the road where transportation moves. Note, cyclists don't ride in the pedestrian zone. Even if no one is there, locals never move in bike lanes." They walked leisurely through the evening city, came out to the Sphere Monument. "Jason, what is this monument?" "It's the Sphere Grande de Pomodoro. This is the Sphere Grande, but the author of the monument is Arnaldo Pomodoro, a native of Pizarro. In general, in Pizarro, there are good sandy beaches, clean sea, beautiful promenade with a pier going far into the sea, all opportunities for a pleasant walk and contemplation of the water surface. Tomorrow, I propose to go to the historical center with the town square surrounded by palaces, a beautiful fountain, walk through the narrow streets of the city, visit local restaurants, stores, admire the beautiful villas. And by the way, the great Italian composer Rossini was born in Pizarro. In the city, there is his museum, opera theater, which bears Rossini's name. Wow, I didn't realize this city was so famous. Italy is a very old country. How do you know everything? Are you a history teacher?" "No, I'm not a history teacher. When they told me where I was going, I looked up places I might be visiting on the internet. I learned a little bit about the country. I didn't really think about it. I could have avoided a lot of misunderstandings. What do you think about going to the LVI Aquarium? Is that around here?" "Not really. It's in Cattolica. It's not far, only 22 kilometers. We can get there in half an hour." "Okay, how early do you want to get up tomorrow?" "We sleep later because we have the Rossini Theater and a walk through the old town. The day after tomorrow, we'll get up at 7 o'clock. "Well, we didn't come here to sleep. We'll have breakfast on the go. I'm in charge of the route. The theater where Rossini worked, so where to now? There's a restaurant. Let's sit down and have a bite to eat. We just had dinner. We'll take only the good stuff." They went to an open-air restaurant. The waiter gave them a menu. They were served quickly enough. Jason talked to the waiter about something, pointing at the menu and pointing at the children. The order came quickly. Jason and Regina took small sips of dry Italian wine, and the children began to taste the original seafood salad. Jason inquired, "Tell me, Regina, how did your husband let you go to a far country with such a small daughter?" Regina smiled sadly and replied, "You know, Jason, I'm not married." "No, it was like a fairy tale. I was finishing my studies at the university when the prince appeared. He was also a student at our university. Somehow we ended up living together. Rose was born. We lived in his apartment. We didn't register our relationship. After Rose was born, he got cold to me, started going out. He wouldn't come home for weeks at a time. When I told him about it, he said, 'You're not my wife to teach me.' And then he brought home a woman. I found an apartment and moved out with my daughter. Now I think I should move back to my mother's neighborhood. Doesn't he help you with your daughter?" "No, he doesn't show any interest. Funny thing is, on Rose's birth certificate, there's a dash under father. So you could sue him for child support?" "No, I don't want to. I don't want Rose to have a father like that." In the end, I realized I was young and stupid, and that my falling in love led to a mistake. But I have a daughter to raise on my own. I'll make sure she doesn't make the same mistakes I did. What's your specialty? I'm a civil engineer. I raised the money for this trip by doing odd jobs. I've been doing estimates. There are a lot of customers, especially those who do not have their own estimators and they themselves want to make some additions or repairs to their building. Then I help them with acceptance of completed works. I had a good job, but the firm I worked for went bankrupt. So in fact today I am unemployed, but I'm optimistic about the future. Let's drink to your optimism. In further conversation, it turned out that Regina's mother lives not in the district center but in a village nearby, 5 kilometers away. At the same time, Jason was appointed director of the branch in this district center. Regina said, "It's amazing how coincidental it is we met here and both of us are actually from the same town. No surprise. We just used the same tour operator." Soon the main courses ordered by Jason arrived as well. They had a lovely evening and arrived at the hotel late in the evening. Jason reminded, "We're getting up early tomorrow to go to the aquarium." "Dad, what are we going to do there?" "What do you mean?" "To see sharks, there's a lot of them there." The next day, by 8 a.m., they were in the oceanarium or in the Park Aquario de Catola, which is very popular among children and adults. The pools and aquariums, being connected by special corridors, formed a harmonious ensemble. Actually, this is one of the most beautiful places of Italian Sica, the Aquarium Lavi Aquario de Cattolica. At each aquarium, they lingered for a long time, took photos against the background of inhabitants, watched their actions. They walked for a very long time, and the real delight of the children was the aquarium where they could touch the inhabitants. Here they stayed the longest and got a little wet. Finally, they went outside and realized that everyone was hungry. Jason suggested, "Let's go outside the oceanarium here. If there is a food outlet, it will be more expensive." They were lucky in the sense that as they were walking around looking for a place to eat, they saw a bus going to Pizarro. Near the bus stop, they decided to go back and then we would eat there. In about 40 minutes, they were already sitting in a familiar cafe on the seafront under an awning, sheltered from the scorching sun, and eating pasta with chicken parmesan, classic Italian dishes. When they had lunch, they decided to go to the beach. Although the sun was scorching mercilessly and siesta had started in the city, for a traveler, siesta is a whole disaster, bringing a lot of inconvenience. But it was useless to be annoyed and angry. They went into the hotel, took towels, and having met at the reception, went to the beach. There, the children quickly undressed and threw themselves into the water. Jason and Regina, having collected their shoes, t-shirts, and shorts, also undressed and went for a swim. They sat in the water for a long time. Finally, Regina and Jason got out of the water, sat under an umbrella, and watched the children, who were excitedly chasing small crabs in the shallow water. Regina asked Jason, "Jason, is that why you are alone without your wife on vacation?" "I'm not doing well either. I found out by accident that my wife was cheating on me with her first boyfriend. He married her for position and money, and he put her with me and even enriched her, took her to work with him. So what happens now?" "Nothing. I took everything I could and took it back to my parents. Then I went on vacation with the kids." "So you still have a chance to make up?" "No, that's not going to happen." "What about the kids?" "The kids will be with me. In a divorce, the court usually favors the mother. I initially thought about divorce, but then consulted with a lawyer and decided that with this cannot be in a hurry and on the contrary to delay until the children are 14 years old. Then the children themselves can determine with which of the parents to live. So I am not planning a divorce yet. But I will not live with my wife. Can you cope with 2 children?" "So far, I'm coping. Actually, I know a man whose wife ran away and left him 2 girls. She came back 8 years later. The girls wouldn't let her in. They said, 'Sorry, Auntie, we have nothing to talk about.'" "Did she talk to her husband?" "No, he refused to discuss anything with her either. And they were divorced. By this time, he had divorced her as a missing person. It's a longer procedure, but he did it all." "What if your wife files for divorce?" "Martin is 10 years old, and he has the right to express his opinion in court. It is taken into account in the judgment, but it is not determinative." "Then what do you intend to do about it?" "Nothing. I'll just hide the kids, and you won't be punished. There is a penalty, but it's not lethal. A fine, arrest. The offense itself is expressed as intentional concealment of the children's whereabouts against their will. But do the kids want to hang out with her? Not anytime soon. Tell me, do you accept my offer to work at my branch? Yes, I just need to find a place to live. I can't find a job in my neighborhood anyway. I don't want to lose my qualifications. That's fine. I'll help you with housing. We'll put Rose in school. She'll be in the same class as Mary. We're close to the school. We're close to everything. The vacation came to an end, and after a farewell dinner in a seaside cafe, they returned to the hotel. And early in the morning, they stood downstairs with their suitcases, waiting for them minus the flight. Past quietly, the children with pleasure looked at the clouds spreading below under the wing of the airplane. 4 hours later, they landed. They got to the train station and boarded the train. After arriving home on Saturday, Jason took the kids shopping and bought some things they needed for school. In the afternoon, he called Samuel. They had a thorough conversation about the branch and its priorities. The issue of providing the branch with specialists was raised first of all. Engineering and technical workers were needed. It turned out that Samuel had already thought about this and had bought several houses for the employees of the branch. He also told about Leia. She is upset, but she is working where she was transferred. No complaints about her. Whether she's seeing Earl is unknown. Earl himself has disappeared from sight and no one knows where he is. On Sunday, as Jason had arranged, he went to pick up Regina and Mary. He decided that he would put them in his parents' house on the second floor. His parents were fine with it. The kids were thrilled that Mary would be living with them and they would all go to school together. Regina was going to work on Monday, and so was Jason for that matter. The children still had 3 more days off, and they stayed home under the supervision of Jason's parents. Leia was in complete ignorance of where Jason and the children were. She went to work, and when the workday was over, she tried to find her husband. Closer to the 1st of September, she decided to go to school and found out that Jason had moved the children to a school in the neighborhood where his parents lived. She decided to go there on the first Friday in September. In the office, meanwhile, there was a lot of talk about Earl's sudden dismissal and Leila's relocation. Many people guessed what had happened and why the founder of the company had suddenly taken over as CEO, but preferred to keep quiet. The time came, and the office learned about the opening of the branch, and after a while, they learned who became the director of the branch. Leia also found out about it. She waited until the first Friday in September, took a day off work at her own expense, and headed to the district center. She left in the dark and arrived very early around 7 in the morning. Knowing the address where Jason's parents lived, she looked for the street and the house. At that time, Jason and his son Martin and daughter Mary came out of the gate. They were followed by a woman unfamiliar to Leia with a girl Mary's age. Leia took advantage of the fact that she was not noticed and followed them. She soon realized that Jason and the strange woman had taken the children to school and had gone to work themselves. The branch was located in a rented building. After waiting for the workday to begin, Leia walked to the reception area. A young girl, a secretary who was going through the papers in the reception area, asked on the selector, "Jason, you have a visitor. Will you accept?" "Sure, no problem." "Let him come in," Jason responded. Leia entered the office. There, at the desk covered with papers, sat Jason. He raised his head, looked at Leia, and said, "Yes, hello Jason." "Hello, Leia. Come in, have a seat. You have a nice office." "Thank you, but it's not my doing." "Not yet. My assistant did all the work. I'm here to discuss what we're going to do next. Knowing you, I know it's impossible to keep this family together, but we have children and we need to work it out. Leia, you realize I'm not giving you the kids, but I want to be a part of their upbringing too, and I'd like to see them. The kids are at school now. Tomorrow, I promised them to go to the woods for mushrooms. Will the woman who went with you and the baby go with you?" "That's Regina and her daughter Rose." Yes, they're coming too. That's your new woman? Call it whatever you want. So you won't let me meet the kids? They're in school until 12 o'clock this afternoon. We'll go over to the school and you can talk to them. But in the future, I'll tell you what. Give me advance notice because the kids and I have plans too. All weekends, vacations, and holidays are scheduled until summer. Although for the summer, I have ideas how we will spend it, but this is a surprise for the kids. I remember you always like to surprise people. Tell me, where did you vacation? By the sea. By the Black Sea. Not exactly. We vacationed on the Adriatic Sea in Italy. I wanted to go there too, but you ruined it. Where did your lover go? I don't know. He was looking for a job and a place to live. I think he settled somewhere. I don't know about the job. He complained that he couldn't get a job. I haven't seen him since that day. I can only advise you to go to a cafe now, to stay until 12, encouraged Leia. Agreed and checked Jason's phone number. To her surprise, he hadn't changed the number. He kept it the same. He said the phone was disconnected. I turned it back on a while ago. Leia left the office and, on Jason's advice, walked to the cafe. Jason called Regina and asked her to come over to his place. Regina came in, and he told her what had happened and that Leia wanted to socialize with the kids. To this, Regina replied, "It is foolish and unwise to forbid a mother from seeing her children, and you have to be wise and offer her options for dealing with the situation." Regina, I know that, but I can't decide anything. Honestly, I didn't expect her to show up here. She saw you and me taking the kids to school. I don't see what the big deal is. So there's nothing you can do to help me? No, I don't want to help you. That's something you have to decide for yourself. I have. I made up my mind a long time ago, the day I found out she cheated on me. There's nothing today to make me go back to her, and there won't be tomorrow either because the deception lasted more than one day. I understand you. You still have time. Think. I won't hide. I'll go to the cafe and talk to her. I don't think that's necessary, and I think I can handle the situation on my own. But I don't want to look like some woman who picked up a rich guy on vacation, and I care about you as much as I care about what we could have. Is that a declaration of love? You can't or won't do that. Although it's usually the man who makes the first move, but I've already taken the first step. I'm with you. I know you are, but you're still dealing with the pain of the affair, and you'll be dealing with it for a long time. How long? I don't know. I guess the length of time it takes to get over it varies from person to person. 3 months up to a year at the most. For women, it's a month, 2 months. It is during this period that a woman wants to return to the relationship, longs for the love that is gone, for a change of life. This is if there was love. If there was no love, she longs for a change of life. Jason, as Leia had promised, showed up at the cafe, but he got there half an hour early and was surprised to see Leia sitting at a table and Regina sitting across from her, talking about something. Leila's face was crying. Jason sat down at the table next to them and asked, "Am I interrupting?" "No, Jason, you're not. We've already talked about it. I'll pick up the kids from school, take them home, feed them, and take them to the park. The weather's nice. They can walk around. Leia will meet them there while I go." Jason inquired, "Well, what happened here?" "We talked to her. She told us how you two met, she liked you, and she fell in love with you. And her daughter likes you. She told me what I knew. You're reliable, you're safe, you have confidence in the future. She talked me out of confronting you about the kids. She said it would only bring harm and explained clearly that I had little chance in this confrontation. Did you agree with her?" "Yes, I listened to her carefully, and she's right. Over the years, I've become estranged from my children. I'm ashamed, but I've been spending more time with Earl. I've been so drugged by him that I've left all the housework to you. I realize I can't handle the kids without your help, but I won't have your help. You'll never forgive me for my deception. Regina seems to know me better than I know myself. She has a really interesting daughter. She's made friends with Mary. Yeah, Regina told me. What else did she tell you? Oh, nothing much, actually. We were talking about our women's stuff. Are you going to eat? No, we're going to the park. We'll wait for them there. They'll find us there. I know where they'll come. We often walk there and feed the swans. They left the cafe and went to the park where Jason showed them a bench where they walk and feed the swans. The swans appeared out of nowhere and stopped near the shore. Have they not flown away yet? As you can see, not yet, but they will soon. They've already put their babies on the wing. Tell me something. Why did you marry me, Jason? I'm sorry, but you were never the man of my dreams. I married you because Earl insisted on it. Why would he do that? Zara, his wife, she's not stupid. She could have suspected he was cheating on her even then. So you were a convenient smokescreen? How did Earl take it? He was jealous, but he couldn't do anything about it. And then when I got pregnant, he thought it was his. You were away for a while then. A year and a half later, I got pregnant with Mary again, and it just so happened that you were away on a business trip at the time. So he considered and still considers the children his. Zara told me he wasn't capable of having children. She told me the same thing when I met her. When I was looking for you. And you don't believe her? Anything can happen in this life. Zara may not be able to have children of her own. If I were you, I'd get a DNA paternity test. I did. What was the result? Who's the father? I don't know what the answers didn't come back. They did. What does it say? I have no idea. I haven't opened the envelopes, and I won't. None of that matters to me. They're my kids. Yes, you gave birth to them, but I raised them, and I'm not giving them to anyone. And I'm not even going to look at the tests. You're not interested? Absolutely not. Here come the kids with Regina. Is that Regina's daughter? With Mary, yes. That's Rose. As you can see, they're the same height and they're dressed alike. That's what Regina's mom is wearing. They call her Mom. Yeah, sometimes it slips out. Rose calls me Daddy. Regina and the kids came over to the bench. Martin and Mary said hello to Lila and immediately ran with Rose to the water to feed the swans. Lila got up and joined them. Half an hour later, the feeding was over and everyone sat down on the bench. Lila tried to talk to the children, but they were reluctant to talk to her. Jason, said Regina, let them sit and we'll go get ice cream for the kids. Jason and Regina left. They showed up a half hour later. A frustrated Lila sat on a bench while the children engaged in some sort of game by the water. They're not making contact, she said. You left, and they ran to the water. Listen, Layla, in half an hour our car will go to the region. I told the driver he'll take you. Come as soon as you can. Maybe the children will fall out. Lila stopped any struggle but came regularly to see the children. Just as Jason had predicted, the children gradually thawed and began to have contact with her, but they were still more drawn to Regina. Sometime later, Jason and Lila divorced. She ceded the upbringing of children to Jason and, in court, did not dispute it. After another 6 months, Regina and Jason married, and Jason adopted Rose. Thank you for joining us today on Deep Stories. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video.